Vehicle preparation. Apply parking brake. Open the trunk and hood of the vehicle. Turning wheels all the way to the left will allow access to the power wire location. Disconnect the negative battery cable. Remove trunk cargo mat and/or floorboard. Remove rear bottom seat cushion. From the passenger side, locate the locking mechanism under the cushion. Repeat for the other side of the vehicle. Pull straight up from the center of the cushion to disengage. Remove rear seat cushion from the vehicle. Disengage both ends of the rear passenger side threshold panel by pulling straight up to remove. Panel tool may be needed to remove the green snap. Remove the front passenger side threshold panel by pulling straight up to remove. Loosen the passenger seat. Using a 14mm socket, remove the 4 14mm seat bolts. Disconnect the 2 connectors underneath the seat. Ensure that your negative battery terminal is disconnected before performing the step. Tilt the seat towards the rear of the car or remove completely for access to the amplifier assembly mounting location. Take care not to scratch interior when removing seat assembly. Loosen weather stripping by hand and remove carefully in an outward direction on both the front and rear passenger side thresholds. Remove the passenger side seat belt trim panel by pulling directly towards you from the lower portion of the panel. Once lower portion of the seat belt trim is loosened, disengage trim by sliding panel in a downward motion. Check for any pink snaps that may have not come off with the panel. Reinsert to the panel if applicable. Removing the passenger side kick panel. Use a panel tool to remove the snap. Carefully pull the kick panel to the left towards the driver's side. 2 small snaps secure it in place. Check for white snaps that may not have come off with the kick panel and reinsert if necessary. Lift carpet by disengaging the white plastic snaps in the front and rear passenger side threshold area. Fold down rear seat backrest. Lift the rear seat backrest carpet locations in the cargo area, exposing the channel between the rear seat and the cargo area. Subwoofer umbilical installation. From the driver's side of the vehicle, run the subwoofer cable from the cargo area to the passenger side front threshold area. Provide 3 inches of cable slack in the trunk area near the driver's side wheel well to accommodate subwoofer installation. Run the cable through the channel provided between the rear seat and cargo area to the passenger side of the vehicle. Run cable under the rear seat belt bolt and towards the passenger side rear threshold area. Wire tie cable to factory wiring as necessary. Reinstall the rear seat cargo area carpet covers by refastening the locking clips. Reinstall the floorboard and cargo tray if applicable. Ensure that 3 inches of slack remain on the white subwoofer connector. Continue to run subwoofer umbilical alongside the factory wiring towards the passenger side front threshold. Run the cable under the carpet and exit under the passenger seat area through the opening used by the factory wiring that connects under the seat. Leave all remaining sub-umbilical slack in this area. You should have about 12 inches of slack. Reinstall the passenger side seat belt trim, weather stripping, rear threshold panel, and rear seat cushion. Radio removal. Lay down a protective blanket over the climate controls and transmission area. Remove radio trim panel by carefully prying away by hand. Remove speedometer hood by pulling towards you with gentle force. Check for white or yellow locking clips that may not have come off with the panel. Reinsert the locking clips to the hood if necessary. If a clip is found engaged in the dash, it can be removed with pliers or a pick tool. In some cases, these clips may fall off upon removal, often falling through to the driver's side floor area. Loosen front passenger side weather stripping and remove passenger side dash panel by pulling away. Remove the top number 2 Phillips screw securing the vent and front dash bezel in place. Carefully remove the front dash bezel. Start with the piece nearest to the steering wheel and work your way to the passenger side, pulling directly towards you as you go. Once front dash bezel is loose, disconnect the climate control connectors and remove the front bezel completely from the vehicle. Remove the 4 number 2 Phillips screws holding the radio in place. Disconnect connectors and antenna lead. Remove radio and store. Quick sync wiring harness. Run the quick sync wire and harness amplifier connectors and ground under the carpet opening from the front passenger side threshold to the opening used by the factory wiring that connects under the seat. Leave about 6 to 10 inches of slack for the white and gray connectors from the carpet opening. Using the factory ground located underneath the carpet between the two vents, remove the 10mm ground bolt and install the harness ground together with the factory ground. Slicing the carpet for ease of access is an option, but not necessary. Reinstall the 10mm bolt. Make sure that the harness ground terminal rests on top of the factory ground terminal. You will be left with the white, gray, and black connectors of the quick sync wiring harness and the gray connector of the sub-umbilical. Continue routing the other side of the harness along the factory wiring towards the passenger side kick panel area. Reinstall carpet clips. Route the harness up along the side of the dash to the opening provided with the removal of the side dash panel. Pull harness through the vent opening and continue run behind dash, above glove box towards the radio cavity. Pull all wires through the radio cavity. Reinstall passenger weather stripping, kick panel, and threshold. Amplifier assembly. Position amplifier assembly in the passenger side front seat location. Plug the white and gray 22-pin connectors from the quick sync wiring harness into their designated receptacles on the DSP amplifier. White connector inserts in the receptacle on the passenger side of the vehicle. Plug the black 10-pin connector from the quick sync wiring harness into its designated receptacle on the sub-amplifier. Plug the 6-pin gray connector from the sub-cable into its designated receptacle on the sub-amplifier. The cable itself should run underneath the amplifier assembly. Mounting the amplifier assembly. Expose the factory mounting bolts by lifting the carpet slits located on the floor. Position the amplifier assembly so bolts run through provided mounting locations. Thread the provided 10mm nut to secure the amplifier assembly on both sides. Tighten by hand initially. If binding occurs, remove the bolt and repeat. Use socket wrench to tighten. Ensure that the factory connectors are accessible for reinstallation of the passenger front seat. Very carefully return the passenger seat back to its original position. Reconnect the two connectors underneath the seat. After returning the seat back in place, confirm that the seat bolt holes are lining up. Tighten the seat bolts by hand at first to ensure proper alignment. If there is too much resistance, start over and double check the alignment. Finish tightening all 4 seat bolts using your 14mm socket and ratchet. Disengage both ends of the driver's side threshold panel by spreading the edges. Very carefully pull straight up to remove. Removing the kick panel. Use a panel tool to remove the snap. Carefully pull the kick panel to the right towards the pedals. Remove driver's side dash panel by pulling away. Remove the 2 number 2 screws holding the lower driver's side panel in place. Disengage panel by pulling directly away from position. Disconnect all connectors attached to the panel and remove. Run driver's side of quick sync wiring harness, the power wires. Enter through the radio cavity and run the wires towards the accelerator pedal. Finish routing by routing above the accelerator pedal and steering column into the driver's side kick panel area. Run neatly and out of the way, use cable ties as necessary. Reinstall lower driver's side panel, hardware, and driver's side dash panel in reverse order, taking time to ensure all connectors and clips are fully engaged. Failure to securely install panel may result in rattles. Reinstall front dash bezel, hardware, passenger side dash panel, and speedometer hood. Connect the quick sync wiring harness to the factory harness and radio, the 10-pin and 6-pin connectors. Make sure they are fully inserted and securely locked in place. Note, for standard factory radio, OEM Audio Plus will provide a receiver harness adapter allowing true plug-and-play installation. Reinstall the radio and trim panel. Power wire installation. On the outside of the vehicle, using a flathead screwdriver or panel tool, loosen the 2 front push-in snaps underneath the driver's side skirt. Once snaps are disengaged, loosen the side skirt by pulling directly towards you. Side skirt only needs to be loosened, not removed. Remove fender garnish completely by pulling directly towards you. Loosen wheel well liner by disengaging the 3 push-in snaps. Loosening the wheel well liner will provide access to the sunroof drainage cap. Turning wheel all the way to the left will allow access to the power wire location. If you are performing this step midway through the installation, ensure that the front passenger seat connectors are reinstalled before connecting the battery. Remove cap with panel tool or flathead screwdriver. In the driver's side kick panel area, use a pick tool to open the inner fender harness shield. Run power wires directly into the access panel opening towards the driver's side front wheel well. Run entire length of wire through the sunroof drainage opening. Avoid interference with accelerator and brake pedals. Using your fingers or wire ties, carefully fish the power wire from within the wheel well. Pull length of wire through the opening. Once the power wire installation is complete under the dash area, secure any slack to existing factory wiring. Use cable ties as necessary. Reinstall driver's side kick panel and threshold. Using a 5/16 bit or uni bit, drill an opening to allow power wire to run through the sunroof drainage cap to reinstall properly. If sunroof drainage hose is present, power wire opening can be drilled on cap just above the hose location. Run length of wires through the backside of the cap and reinstall cap to original position. Apply a small amount of silicone sealant on the wile to seal the opening. Using a fish pole, grab tool, or modified wire coat hanger, fish the power wires from the wheel well to the engine compartment. Reinstall wheel well liner, fender garnish, and side skirt in reverse order. Install the 1/4-inch corrugated split loom onto the power wires. Run loomed power wires neatly and out of the way, ending by the battery. Secure using cable ties as necessary. Remove the 10mm bolt from the battery's positive terminal and install the ring terminal of the fuse holder lead. Reinstall the 10mm bolt. Connect the power wires to the fuse holder using the pre-installed crimp solder seal butt connectors. These special connectors have built-in solder and heat shrink. Insert the 14-gauge power wire into the blue butt connector and crimp. Insert the 12-gauge power wire into the yellow butt connector and crimp. Apply heat to activate solder and heat shrink insulator for the best connection possible. Secure fuse holder assembly using cable ties as necessary. Do not install fuses at this time. Subwoofer installation. In the cargo area, using a pick tool, remove the trim cover of the driver's side rear cargo net hook exposing the 10mm bolt. Remove the 10mm bolt and hook assembly. Install the B rear subwoofer mounting bracket. Turn the bolt by hand initially. If binding occurs, remove the bolt and repeat. Use socket wrench to tighten. Using a pick tool, remove the trim panel of the driver's side front cargo net hook exposing the 10mm bolt. Remove the 10mm bolt and hook assembly. Install the A front subwoofer mounting bracket. Turn the bolt by hand initially. Use socket wrench to tighten. Position OEM Audio Plus subwoofer in cargo area. Connect sub-umbilical to the OEM Audio Plus subwoofer system. Install the quick release knob on the rear and front sides of the enclosure. Fuse installation. Insert the 20A fuse for the 14-gauge power wire, the thinner wire, and the 30A fuse for the 12-gauge, thicker wire. Connect battery ground. This concludes the OEM Audio Plus System 400 installation for the Subaru WRX STI Hatchback. Start your engine, turn on your radio, enjoy. Do you have any questions or requests regarding this installation? Leave them in the comments down below. For more instructionals, testimonials, or details regarding the OEM Audio Plus sound solutions for the Subaru line of vehicles, subscribe to OEM Audio Plus on YouTube.